chapters I read, there's like 18 chapters, and it's like 50 points under each one. Okay, I exaggerated, but what I liked about that was that you did what you needed to do. You wrote what you needed to write, and that's the important thing. That whole thing about the chapters and the points under them, that's just a guideline to kind of help you organize your thoughts, and that's what the outline is for. But now when you start writing, you're going to explode all of those thoughts. And did anyone who wasn't here last week get a chance to listen to the session? No. You did, Ms. Pat? Was it helpful? Good. I sent out an email to everyone, week 3 love notes, and in the love notes was several links to YouTube, and because we recorded the session from last week and we put it on YouTube, because there were so many who said they weren't going to be here, so we wanted to make sure that you all, it was an important part of, you know, kind of pivotal in what we're talking about, so I wanted to make sure everybody had it. Will I? Yes. You're not going to be here? Where you going to be?
I'll be in Maryland.
Oh, how nice. How nice. Okay, very good. In any case, going back to that outline, that's just a guide to kind of help you with your thoughts. But you really want to create, you know, you can have as many chapters as you want. And you can have as many points that you want to make within those chapters, but you do want to be careful, because if you give the reader too much information, it may be hard to tag and keep up with. So, you know, you use wisdom in that. This is where, you know, that unction thing, this is a good point to be using your unction. You want to make sure that you're communicating well, and an important part of that is not bombarding the reader with too much information, and, you know, making sure that they can stay in your flow. And that's really, it's about creating a flow of information so that they can all get it. First facts first. You got to tell your story in some kind of order. We talked about this a little bit. If you're telling a story that's chronologically, that needs a chronological explanation, I started when I was like this, and I progressed to this over here, and finally I moved on to here. Then obviously you need to do that in order. If you're doing a recipe book, a cookbook, for example, you may need to describe the measuring elements first, or you may need to talk about the tools first. Or, you know, I'm not a great cook, pretty good cook, but as you do it, oh, thank you, as you do your begin to explode your chapters, you want to make sure it's in an order so that there's a foundation, and everything coming after it will build on what you've started at. So it doesn't matter what kind of thing you're writing. How are you going to tell that story? In what order, I should say, are you going to tell that story? So you go back to your blueprint, your outline. Once you've kind of done that, you've got a GPA going, right? What's the GPA? Louder? GPA? Goal, purpose, audience. Once you've developed your GPA, and now it has helped you build your table of contents or your outline. Now you're going to actually start writing. And you've developed your voice. You're going to tell it probably in first person or maybe third person. And you've figured out your style, how to make it interesting so that the readers will stay with you. You've watched your slang and your jargon, and you've identified your audience. Who are you really writing this for? That's going to also help determine how you speak, right? Okay, so now you got to write these paragraph by paragraph, right? So a good way to begin that is maybe with anecdotes or experiences, because those are always kind of warm and fuzzy. Even if you're writing about something that's not warm and fuzzy, you can use an anecdote or an experience to kind of just open the topic, if you will. And then you begin going by your outline to lay out all of your facts and your descriptions. Make sure it's relevant. Make sure if you use scriptures in the beginning of your chapter, you have to make sure that the whole purpose of that chapter relates to that. Good morning. You have to make sure that whole chapter relates to the scripture that you've used. Otherwise, just embed your scriptures. I've seen a lot of times where the scripture is at the heading of the chapter, and then it's really not even discussed anywhere else. So you don't put it there. Put it where you need it at. Okay? And if you want to, oh yeah. Okay. Excuse me. So, I did write these notes myself. Give me just a second. Okay, so now you actually begin to tell your story, and you take all these factors to determine how you're going to do that. Okay? And you have to remember what's important for the reader to know. How many want to write fiction? Okay, great. We got some fiction writers. This is especially important in fiction writing. Yeah, fiction writing is really fun because you get to make it all up. Be creative, yeah, but you have to remember how much information you're going to give to the reader at what point. So the outline will help you, and then, finding your voice will be even more important in that area. Now I want to jump to the assignment for next week. If you have not done the assignment from last week and made your table of contents or your outline, or you just put up a blank blog, I'm just harassing several of you here. I don't have a ruler up here. I'm not going to pop any knuckles or anything like that. I just want to throw that in. But do that. Create your table of contents, and then actually the assignment is just to begin writing. Take that first point in your outline and explode it and write that first point and post it. How many of you have put the copyrights on your blogs as we discussed? Okay, if this is actually a book that you're writing, put those copyrights on there. We're using the blog in this case so that our whole class can participate and look at what you wrote as well. But, if there are others, the internet is a public domain. So just want to make sure you do that. Okay? So the assignment is to write part of your first chapter and post it on your blog, and read 2 other people's and make comments. Bless you. Okay? All right. Any questions? Yes. What's the primary thing that you're writing, fiction or nonfiction? You can. You can do that. You can do anything you want to do. So you can specifically do that, but you have the responsibility of communicating very clearly. And if there's a difference, if it makes a difference, whether it's fact or fiction, you need to identify that. If it's just if you're writing, it's easier to think of it flip side. If you're writing fiction, you can very easily stick fact in there. You're going to have to stick fact in there because facts are going to have to help determine your story. But if it's the reverse, then you can create an anecdote that's made up. for emphasis. Yeah.